The second we launched this game, I swear, something felt off. Not the usual kind of off, not like broken menus or lazy jump scares. This was heavier, almost like we weren't supposed to be here. The title screen didn't even look like a normal menu. It was just black, pure black, except for a tiny blinking cursor in the corner, like it was waiting for us to type something. No background music, no clicks, just silence. At first, we thought the game glitched. I mean, what kind of horror game starts with nothing? But then, out of nowhere, text appeared on the screen. Just one word, hello. We froze, because here's the thing, we didn't type anything. None of us touched the keyboard. It was like the game itself made the first move, and as soon as that word showed up, we all looked at each other like, okay, creepy, but maybe it's just scripted. So I typed back, just to test it. I wrote, hi. The reply came instantly. Like instantly, it said, I've been waiting for you. Now, I know horror games are supposed to feel immersive, but this wasn't just immersive. It felt direct. Like whoever was on the other side of that chat wasn't just coded text. It felt alive. We laughed it off at first. Like, okay, wow, spooky AI, 10 out of 10, you got us. But the chat didn't stop there. It started asking us questions. Simple ones at first. What's your name? Where are you from? You know, the kind of questions you'd expect in some cheap haunted chatbot gimmick. But then it got personal, too personal. It asked something so specific about one of my friends in the room that there's no way it could have been random. And the weirdest part, the answer it gave after was right. We just sat there, staring at the screen, not even breathing. And I swear, the longer we looked, the more it felt like the game was staring back at us. I could feel my heart pounding, like that kind of dread when you know you're about to see something you don't want to see. We joked, we tried to play it cool, but inside, every one of us was scared. Because this wasn't just a chat box. It felt like something was inside the chat box, and then it typed something none of us could explain. Something that made us realize we weren't just playing anymore. But what happened next? That's where everything went horribly wrong. When the words appeared on the screen, we all leaned in closer, like maybe we'd misread it. Maybe it was a coincidence. But it wasn't. The game had typed out something that nobody else could have known. It said my friend's name. Not the username he'd logged in with, not something pulled from Steam or Discord, his real name, the one he doesn't even use online. And it wasn't just the name, it was spelled correctly, with that weird silent letter at the end, the one everyone always forgets. At first he laughed. He tried to play it off like, ha, nice trick, guys. Did one of you hack this? But none of us touched anything. I swear, every single person in that room was just staring at the monitor, waiting for someone else to admit they were behind it. Nobody did, so I asked the chat just to test it again. I typed, how do you know that name? And the reply came back instantly. Too fast, like it wasn't even processing, it was just ready. The screen flashed. I know everything about you. We froze. Not one of us made a sound. You could have heard a pin drop. The only thing you could hear was the faint buzz of the computer fan. And in that silence, I swear, it felt like the room itself got colder. That was the first time I thought about quitting the game. Just backing out, uninstalling, never touching it again. But we didn't. You know why? Because curiosity always wins. That little voice in your head that says, don't do it, is never as loud as the one whispering, but what if you keep going? So, of course, we kept going. I typed, if you know everything, prove it. And that was the moment I regretted everything, because the game responded with something that knocked the air right out of my chest. It typed, check your phone. I swear to you, all of us just froze. Nobody wanted to move. But my friend slowly pulled out his phone, and his face went pale. On the lock screen was a notification, not from an app, not from a number, just a blank sender, and the message said, don't ignore me. I can't even explain the feeling in that room. It wasn't like a jump scare. It wasn't like some horror movie where everyone screams. This was worse. Everyone just went dead silent. My pulse was hammering in my throat. It felt like something had reached out from the game and into real life. We told him to delete it, to shut off his phone, but the moment he tried, the chat box popped up with another message. It said, "That won't help. I've played a lot of horror games, but never one that felt like this. This wasn't immersion, this was intrusion." And deep down, I knew we'd already crossed a line we couldn't undo. Still, we pushed further, because the chat gave us a choice. On the screen appeared two words, glowing faintly red, like they were burning into the black background: stay or leave. We laughed nervously, like it was some kind of classic horror trope. But none of us were laughing when we realized the cursor was already moving by itself, hovering over stay, and then, without anyone clicking, the screen locked in the choice. That's when everything began to spiral out of control. "Don't you dare!" That was enough to stop me. My hand hovered over the key, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. It was like the game was daring us, testing us. Then something happened that I still can't explain. The shadow in the chair moved just slightly, its head tilted like it was listening, and in that exact second we all felt it, that heavy pressure in the room, like someone else had stepped inside with us. I don't care how many horror games you've played, nothing prepares you for the moment when the fear stops being on the screen and starts being in the air around you. And then the chat box lit up again. One last sentence. Turn around. We didn't, not right away. Nobody wanted to be the first. But I swear every second that passed, the pressure in that room got heavier, colder. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. And finally, one of us did it. He turned around, but what he saw back there, that's where everything went from scary to dangerous. When my friend turned around, his reaction told us everything. His face went pale instantly, like he'd just seen something he couldn't process. He didn't scream, he didn't move, he just froze with his mouth slightly open. And that silence, that dead, frozen silence, was somehow worse than if he'd yelled. We all whipped our heads around to look, but of course, nothing was there. Just the same dimly lit room we'd been sitting in the whole time. No shadows, no figures, nothing out of place. "Bro, what did you see?" I asked him. He didn't answer right away. He just kept staring, eyes darting around the corners of the room like he was waiting for something to show itself again. Finally, he muttered under his breath, "There was someone standing right behind us." We laughed nervously, like maybe he was just messing with us. But the look on his face wasn't a joke. His hands were trembling, and then game backed him up, because right as he said those words, the chat lit up again. The message on the screen said, "He's right." That was the moment every single one of us felt goosebumps crawl up our arms, because how could it possibly know? The game had confirmed something none of us even saw. I wanted to shut it down right there. My hand hovered over the power button. But then another message appeared before I could press it. This one felt different, shorter, almost like a command: "Don't look away." The camera feed, that grainy static, filled view of the room with the chair, zoomed in slowly, pulling closer to the shadowy figure sitting there. The closer it got, the harder it was to breathe. The details sharpened just enough for us to realize it wasn't just a silhouette anymore. It looked human, or something pretending to be. The outline of a head, shoulders, its arms resting perfectly still on the chair. The only thing missing was a face, where its face should have been. There was just a black void, pulsing faintly like smoke. Every instinct in me screamed to look away, to shut it off, but none of us could. It was like the game had us hypnotized. Even blinking felt dangerous, and then it typed again. This time, the message felt personal, like it was speaking directly to me. "Why are you ignoring me?" I didn't know what to do, so stupidly I typed back, "We're not." And the game replied instantly, "Yes, you are. You keep pretending I'm not here." That's when the sound started. At first it was faint, like whispering buried deep in static. Then it grew louder, clearer, until it wasn't static at all. It was voices, dozens of overlapping voices, all whispering the same thing over and over. Don't look away. Don't look away. Don't look away. The room around us felt like it was vibrating. My chest was tight, my heartbeat completely out of control. One of my friends actually covered his ears, rocking back and forth like the voices were inside his head, and just when I thought it couldn't get worse, the screen flickered again. For a split second, not even a full second, the camera feed changed. It wasn't the dark room anymore, it was our room, our setup, us sitting in front of the monitor. And right behind us in that split-second flash was the same faceless figure from the chair. We all screamed at once, jumped up, knocked into each other, practically fell over trying to get away from the desk. When the screen flickered back to the chair, the shadow figure was gone. The chat typed one last message. Too late. And that was the moment we realized the game wasn't just playing with us anymore. It had followed us. After that last message, too late, we didn't know what to do. The game just sat there on the screen, the empty chair in that dark room still flickering in and out of static. No music, no sound, just that endless, suffocating silence. Nobody wanted to touch the keyboard. Nobody wanted to be the one who typed next. We just stood there in this weird limbo, waiting for the game to make its move, and the longer we waited, the more the tension built. You could feel it in your chest, like standing outside during a thunderstorm and knowing the lightning's about to strike. You don't know where, you don't know when, but you know. Finally, one of us broke the silence. He tried to laugh, tried to cut the tension. He goes, okay, I think this game is just some elaborate prank. Like hidden camera show, someone's trolling us, right? We wanted to believe him, we really wanted to, but then his phone buzzed loud. The sound made every one of us jump. He looked down at it, picked it up, and his smile disappeared instantly. Message on his screen said, "Stop laughing." That was it, just 2 words, but the timing, the perfect timing, made all of us freeze. He didn't laugh again, none of us did, and then the chat lit up again, like the game was feeding off our fear. You think this is funny, you think you're safe. I swallowed hard and typed back, "What do you want from us?" The reply came almost instantly, "To watch." The screen flickered again, and this time the camera view of the room shifted. The angle slowly rotated, like someone was physically holding a camera and turning it around. We all leaned closer to the monitor, trying to make sense of what we were seeing. At first, it was just the same dark walls. Then, slowly, the view panned toward the corner of the room, and that's when we saw it. There was a second chair. We hadn't noticed it before, and in that second chair something was sitting, but not still, not motionless like the first figure had been. This one was moving, rocking slightly like it couldn't sit still. Its head twitched in short, sharp motions, like it was glitching out of reality itself. The voices came back, not whispered, this time clearer, louder. A chorus of overlapping tones, some high, some low, all speaking in perfect sync. He's waiting for you. I can't even describe the fear in that moment. My stomach dropped so hard it felt like I was falling. My skin went ice cold. We were glued to the screen, desperate to look away, but also terrified of missing what would happen next. And then the camera kept turning, slowly, too slowly. The angle dragged, the static buzz growing louder, until it pointed straight at the wall. And there, carved into the wall in massive, jagged letters, were words that weren't supposed to be there, words that felt aimed directly at us. It said, "Turn around." We didn't, not this time. Nobody wanted to move. Nobody even wanted to breathe. But the voices didn't stop. They chanted it now, louder, harsher, overlapping in a dizzying blur. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. The tension was unbearable. I swear, my heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. And that's when the screen, for the briefest, most horrifying second, switched back to the camera feed of our room again. Only this time it didn't show all of us. It showed just one person, the one sitting closest to the monitor, and standing directly behind him was the faceless figure. We all screamed, scrambled backward, chairs crashing, everything chaotic. But when we looked back at the monitor, it was gone. The figure, the message, all of it. Just an empty, static, filled screen, and then one last line appeared in the chat. "Next time, don't ignore me." That was the moment we realized this wasn't just about the game anymore. After that last message, none of us wanted to touch the keyboard again. The monitor just sat there, faint static flickering across the black screen like the game was waiting, daring us to keep going. The air in the room felt so heavy you could almost choke on it. Every creak of the floorboards, every sound from outside, it all felt amplified, like the game had infected everything around us. We sat in silence for what felt like forever. Nobody spoke, nobody moved, and then the cursor blinked. The game typed one final message: "You can leave now." But I won't. We stared at it, trying to process what that meant. Did it mean the session was over? Did it mean we'd beaten it somehow? Or did it mean something worse, that whatever we'd let in wasn't going back? Before we could react, the screen cut to black, just completely dark, no static, no chat, nothing. For a second, we thought maybe that was it. Maybe the nightmare was finally over. But then our webcams turned on. We didn't click anything. We didn't give it permission. But one by one, the tiny camera lights on our laptops and monitors lit up, glowing like sinister little eyes, staring back at us. And on the screen where the game used to be were our faces, live, all of us sitting there, frozen in shock. The chat box flickered back into existence at the bottom of the screen. The cursor blinked for a few seconds, then words appeared: "Now I can see you." That was the breaking point. One of my friends slammed the power button on the PC, another yanked the cords out of the wall like we were trying to rip a parasite off us. The room went pitch black, just silence and the sound of our panicked breathing. When we finally got the lights back on, everything seemed normal. The game was gone, no sign of it on the desktop, no files, nothing, like it had never even been installed. We didn't sleep that night. Every shadow felt wrong, every noise felt like a signal. And yeah, maybe it was all just some twisted program designed to mess with us. Maybe, but deep down I don't think it was, because later, when I finally got the courage to check my phone, I found a new message waiting. No contact name, no number, just words: "Told you not to ignore me." And that's when I knew this wasn't over. So yeah, safe to say we're never opening that game at night again. Actually, scratch that, we're never opening it ever again. But hey, if you're brave enough to try, don't say I didn't warn you. And maybe, just maybe, don't watch this video alone.